Hello?
Good morning, and welcome to TimeToPlay.com's Empower Half Hour. Well, I don't know. I'm going to restart that because I just got a thing that says on the air. So, good morning, and welcome to TimeToPlay.com's Empower Half Hour. And this is Doreen Guma. I am a certified professional coach, and I am the founder of the Time to Play Foundation, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation with the mission and purpose to enrich the lives of others through programs, public awareness outreach activities, events, and learning opportunities that further the concept of enjoying life. And Empower Half Hour is just part of that. We can learn a little tidbit of information in a half an hour that can help us. And on the line with me is Heidi Krantz, and she is one of my most important people on the Foundation's Council of Professional Resources. She is an amazingly insightful life coach, and her background is in relationships. That's her focus area, specializing in people who have gone through divorce or such a type of life situation to help them pick themselves up and move forward and love their life. So good morning, Heidi, and thank you for joining me this day on the Empower Half Hour.
Good morning, Doreen. So great to be here, and thank you for the introduction.
You're very welcome. So today's topic really hit a nerve in a lot of people. And basically the topic is setting boundaries and saying no. And I got so many texts and Facebook messages and discussion on this topic that really it's apparently something that a lot of people feel is necessary as far as something to consider to improve their quality of life. And so thank you, Heidi, for suggesting this topic. And, we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of this. And just so you know, why I started this podcast over, I have this studio thing. It's like the most confusing thing. So I thought I was going to be a little bit better rather than having that like blog talk radio introduction. I just had them do a chime. So I guess I'll have to change that back. But then on the little studio, all of a sudden the little on-air thing popped up. And I'm like, well, I don't know if it started already or if it didn't start already, but it's just most confusing to me. Sorry, I'm not technologically savvy.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, it should be so easy, but no. So it just adds a little comedy, or people go, what the heck was that for? I don't know.
I think everybody can relate. Yes.
Well, I'm kind of old. If my daughter was running this, it would have been perfect. So, oh God,
you look like a kid, Doreen. Don't even say that.
Oh my gosh, thanks. Well, no, seriously, do you remember like when we got the VCRs? Seriously, I'm going back a little bit, but I couldn't set a VCR for my life. No joke, right?
Me either.
So I had to get the kids to do it. Same thing.
All right. Well, here you are running your Blog Talk radio show. It's happening. You've got us on the air. So
so it says.
Let's. We hope. Otherwise,
oh my gosh!
All
right.
Enjoyable conversation with each other, which is terrific.
Oh my gosh!
Yes. People respond to this topic with a lot of resonance. We respond to requests for our energy and our time and our resources, very often with a yes, because that's really authentically what we want to say, and that's who we are, and that's who we want to be as people. But what about the times that we really want to say no, and we end up hearing ourselves saying yes? And more importantly, if that's happening too frequently for our comfortability, how can we modify this pattern? So I'm hoping we can kind of shed some light on that today together.
I think that that's so brilliant because I don't know about you, but I do still do that because it's the right thing to do, or I kind of feel bad, or they really need my help, or whatever. So there's all these different situations that come into play, and sometimes that's okay, right? I mean, even if you don't want to do it, but sometimes even so that we could give ourselves a break and not feel bad about it, it's okay to say yes, but what if it is a situation where it really is something that it just, from the very bottom of your soul, you just don't want to do, and you kind of feel obligated? So how do you get out of that kind of a feeling?
Yeah. Well, kind of in order to get there, I think we have to take a step back and kind of recognize why we are doing what we're doing. That's kind of the first step in changing the patterns. First of all, acknowledging the pattern, which we've already begun to do this morning. And then second of all, talking about why it happens, and there are so many reasons, and you started to mention, some of them. So sometimes we've got cultural factors. I find in my practice this issue comes up more frequently for women than for men, although certainly not exclusively for women. So again, there are many cultural factors. We've experienced disapproval in our lives for not, going with the flow and saying yes. Depending on our place in our family of origin, we might have been, in the birth order, the one that was always expected to help and say yes. Other factors, we have people-pleasing parts of us, and many of us have them more than others. And, to a certain extent, that works for us in our lives. And so we tend to go with that pattern, and people-pleasing often involves saying yes, even when we want to say no. Some other factors, we don't want to disappoint others, and that becomes ingrained in us. Or sometimes we feel intimidated by the person who's asking us. So we're kind of afraid and on different levels to say no. Lots more reasons, but I really want to hear your thoughts so far, and if you have any more ideas
absolutely.
Of why people do it. Yeah.
Personally, I really enjoy your input always. It's extremely insightful, always very organized, and makes a lot of sense. Some of the things that you did bring up is women are, and I put it in quotes, caretakers down as I was writing based on what you're speaking on. We are the quote-unquote caretakers. We're expected. Do you remember that commercial for that perfume? I don't remember, Anjali or something. I don't know. You can bring home the bacon frying up in the pan. that commercial. I mean, but it's the truth. Not that men aren't. My poor husband volunteers himself for everything in the creation, but it's more of an obligation because he knows if he doesn't do it, nobody's going to do it sometimes. And maybe the other thing is that expect us to say yes because we always have saying, we've always been saying yes. And that's something that I want you to touch on as far as like the reaction of people, because they get mad when you say no, and you have to be prepared for that. But let's just go back to one more thing. And something that I've been using a lot and doing a lot for people, and it's very simple. I say to them, make a stop sign and carry it with you. And I know that sounds stupid, but it's not necessarily, because sometimes we really sometimes you just need a visual, put it on your desk, put it near your phone, tape it to your cell phone and stop. So when you're having this feeling, this frustration maybe, because when you're in a situation, where Heidi said, take a moment to stop and reflect, so make a stop sign and stop. Remind yourself to stop. And, before you respond. And, what do they say is that 10-second rule before you speak sometimes, like if you're angry or you're whatever, stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes, it can change your life. That's really wise, Doreen. And if we are in that caretaking role for so many people at home and at work, we can't let our battery, run down. We can't let our tank run empty, because then we can't be there as caretakers for ourselves and for others. So if we say yes to everything, what becomes of us and what becomes of the people who we're caretaking? So,
absolutely.
It's really important to visit this topic. And, another really important aspect of why we say yes when we want to say no is often, and this is what I find with many clients, deep inside of us, we kind of don't feel worthy of setting the boundary and saying no for our own needs. We don't feel, or I'm going to say a part of us doesn't feel worthy of caretaking ourselves that way. And that's so important to develop. So, this hesitancy to saying no is a real trailhead for a lot of deeper issues to really look at and work with.
It's absolutely the truth. And let's just throw out the word burnout. So one of the things that we have to do, and this is extremely wonderful that Heidi brought this up, you know what? We also have to take care of ourselves. And that word burnout was created for a reason, apparently. We have to protect ourselves in a certain way, and if we are so exhausted and we are feeling upset, we're not going to be able to take care of anybody else or do the obligations that we volunteered ourselves for, because we're just not. So that's really something hugely important to consider, and, a really great point, Heidi. And I don't know, we're maybe from that older sort of generation. I'll be 50 this year. And, we are supposed to take care. What was the first toy that you got as a girl? You got a doll. Here, take care of your baby. Oh, your baby's crying. Oh,
Yes,
and this is an ingrained.
And then a lot of approval for caretaking. Tremendous amount of approval for being a good caretaker. And certainly we don't. That is who we are, and we don't want to take away from that. But we're talking about when it becomes an excess, and then it starts generating feelings of resentment, so that when we do our caretaking, we may not be doing it with warmth, with a full heart, and with a smile and with a positive attitude. And that's when we really want to take a look at what is happening here. Another typical reason that people say no, and we see this all the time, and I think to a certain extent, many of us can relate to it, and that is, I'm just going to do it because if someone else does it, it's not going to get done right. So I let me just do it. And we have to look at that too, and we have to look at allowing ourselves to kind of give up that control. And it doesn't always have to be done exactly how we think it should be done or exactly how we would do it. Maybe there is some merit if we just kind of sit back, and it will be done differently, but maybe there'll be some advantages to that. And that's so hard for some of us, at times to give up that control. And that is kind of a reason that sneaks in there and makes us say yes, because we kind of want it done our way or want it done right. So that's something I see too.
And you know what? This is an interesting thought process, because before the podcast started, I was basically talking to you briefly about this. There's a lot of different idioms, they call them, little sayings. Many hands make light work. In my thought process and the founding principles of the foundation, people helping people and collaboration equals success. So just think of what could be done by one person and what can be done by 100 people and what can be done by 10 people and what can be done by 2 people. we don't have to go at anything alone. And I think that's one of the biggest issues in a lot of people. When we feel alone, our minds alone, nobody is alone. We all have similar situations. It's a life situation, it's a life experience, right? So you might think that this is the worst thing, the biggest thing in something in your life experience, but guess what? Somebody is having that same experience as you at this very moment. And that's something so important to remember, I believe. You know,
hence your wonderful podcast, Time to Play and Power Half Hour, and the whole concept of the entire Time to Play is so much that, and your book as well, for sure. So that can help that million people that you're looking to help.
Yeah. Well, that's the ultimate goal, but I most certainly can't do that by myself.
Exactly.
Tomorrow night, as a matter of fact, I'll just mention, we have a internet podcast, and Stacy Gertz, who's one of our professional resources as well. She's amazing. She is a certified teacher. She is a CASAC, certified alcohol substance abuse counselor. And we are not a suicide prevention program. We are not a alcohol counseling program or any of that type of thing. We're an Enjoy Life project. Everything centers on what can you do to make your life better? What can you do to enjoy life? Nobody in our society, as far as I'm concerned, is sick or has anything wrong with them. We have to just take back control. So tomorrow's topic, which is very good as far as like if somebody wants more after this, is called Codependency and Control. And it is at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night. So it's the same number, the 646-200-0848, for anybody to call in if you want to as well to talk. It's confidential. It's judgment-free. You can say anything you want to say here too. And that is actually something that will be happening tomorrow night. We try to gear it a little bit more towards the younger population, but everybody is most welcome, but it is at 8:30 p.m. on Thursday nights, and Stacy runs that one. So it's really an important thing, I think.
Well, what a great resource, Doreen. What a great resource.
Well, the whole goal again behind this is people helping people. So, if somebody has ways and they don't have to participate in this live today, but you're welcome to email Doreen at timetoplay.com, DOREEN, or info@timetoplay.com, or call 631-331-2675. We will always answer. And give us some ideas on how you do say no in this respect, how you do take back your control, and we can actually post that out for other people too, because, your experience might be something that is helpful for somebody else. So what else do we want to hear
from you?
Oh, my gosh, absolutely. Well, that's the whole premise of this. I really want this to be a very big discussion. I don't want this to be, this is Doreen's idea, and this is Heidi's idea, and this is what we say, so this is the right thing. Guess what? Not everything is right for everyone. Not everything is the right way for everyone. Everybody needs something different. But the whole end... Right, and the whole end is what do we need to do so we can enjoy our life or have a better life. Yeah. So that's really what our focus should be.
Yeah, so one of the most frequent reasons that I see, in my coaching practice and in my personal life that we say no when we really want to say yes is that we're just kind of on autopilot. So what happens is we just say yes automatically, and we never really think through, what our options are, and why we're saying what we're saying, and we just kind of rotely and robotically say yes, and then we go ahead and we feel overwhelmed and overextended. And what I began to talk about before is the resentment creeping in. So that's kind of a segue, Doreen, into what we can do about it. And you touched upon it by saying stop, take that pause and think about every time you answer, when somebody asks for your help in some way, and you're about to just robotically say yes because you're on autopilot. We want to really make that shift and answer, make a conscious decision, not an unconscious decision. So the conscious decision, okay, I'm about to answer. I'm inclined to say yes. Am I saying yes because I choose that answer? Or am I saying yes because any of the reasons that we talked about earlier in the podcast, or a million other reasons you might be saying it, that are not authentically your desire to say yes? And let me just include this. Sometimes your conscious decision to say yes might even be a decision to overextend yourself. So I might be saying, I know I'm totally overextending myself for this, but I'm making a conscious decision because it feels so important to me that I genuinely want to do that, rather than I'm so overextended, but I'm going to say yes anyway because I'm intimidated, because I don't think I'm worthy of saying no, because that's what's expected of me, because I'm a people pleaser. No, it's because I'm making a conscious decision and I'm evaluating the situation, and even though I'm overextending, I'm going to say yes anyway. And in that case, when I make that conscious choice, then even when I'm overextended, I'm not going to tend to resent. I'm not going to tend to resent the person who asked me. I'm not going to tend to resent the extra work, because it's a more powerful choice that I made from a conscious place. And that's really an important crux here.
The key.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Because and I've been there, I guess we all pretty much have been there, but when you decide to do something and you are so not happy that you're doing it, you're like in a wicked bad mood about it, right?
Yes.
So, and that's not the way that you want to.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Whether you go and get that ice cream sundae or that chocolate cake or...
Yes.
But you're going to have a hostility towards it. You're going to do it. You're going to be miserable.
Right.
You're going to have hostility.
Exactly. And so, earlier, Doreen, you were touching upon the question. So how do we say it? Let's say we made that conscious choice. We evaluated why, and we made a conscious choice, and our choice is no. This is not something that I want to do or I want to help with. It's just not going to be right in the structure of my life and my other responsibilities. How do we do that so that it can be heard and accepted? And, that might be a whole other podcast to do in detail, but one part of it is the following. I find this pattern very frequently when people are uncomfortable saying no. What they might do is say no in anger to kind of make it, emphasize the importance of it. So instead of just saying no matter-of-factly and without emotion, they say it with a lot of anger, kind of showing that they're at their breaking point and nothing else can be piled on them. Kind of, it's almost like making an excuse by exhibiting the anger. So that's one way, that's one pattern that people go to when they really need to say no and they're so uncomfortable about it. They do it with anger. Or sometimes they do the opposite. They do it with a huge amount of apology and all sorts of excuses and explanations. And really, neither one is necessary, and neither one is the powerful way of saying no. Because the powerful way of saying no is concisely and not with a lot of emotion, just with matter-of-factly. So there's nothing personal about it to the person that you're saying no to. It's with eye contact and a confident facial expression. It's not said with aggression. And again, it's not with emotion. It's just real simple and concise. No, that doesn't work for me. And that's all that needs to be said. And if we practice that, it's amazing how comfortable we can get. And it's a journey for all of us, and it's a journey for myself, too, believe me.
Well, you know what? It's very interesting. And anybody that's interested in this, it is the best thing since sliced bread, no joke. We have it truly is. It warms my heart every single day. We have a group page called timetoplay.com. So we have a regular, like, businessy type of page or whatever like that we post on, and I'm so not, this isn't my area of expertise. But so Mike Pastore, who's one of our business advisory board members for the foundation, started a timetoplay.com public group so anybody could post things on there, and it is the best thing. No, not kidding. People post amazing stuff. Amazing. It's so heartwarming. But this is exactly this discussion that we just had, exactly what you said. And it's just go on there, scope this out. And this was part of the discussion just today, just exactly that, and our feelings, et cetera.
Wow.
Just today. So I appreciate that very much and what you just were speaking on.
I'm going to definitely check that out.
It's very interesting, again, to go back to that we think that we feel this way ourselves and, what is causing that feeling. This is something that I have been learning most recently. Our emotions are a barometer. And you know what? Look, none of us are perfect. We're just still all people, right? So, I'll all of a sudden feel maybe agitated or crabby or frustrated, and then I get my little stop sign. I have to stop, and I have to say, holy cow, what just made me feel this way? And go back and trace it and realize, you know what, none of us are perfect. We do feel this way. We do have to remind ourselves, we say no, we say yes when we don't want to say. I still do it. And I know I'm doing it, but like you're saying, I'm making that conscious decision. But this is all a big learning experience, and the hashtag people helping people, so to speak. We can really give each other some good advice as to how to make a better day. And in all actuality, this way that we're speaking of our feelings and that we still do, but the awareness of it, that conscious decision is probably the most important thing that we could take away today here. What's your opinion on that?
I absolutely agree. And so important to kind of realize, like I said, this is a journey. So it's not about, now I'm going to beat myself up because I said yes when I wanted to say no. It's a journey of kind of looking at our patterns and slowly beginning to reduce the number of times that we do that. So if we did it 10 times last week and we did it 9 times this week, we're heading up the mountain in the right direction. And if we're getting more conscious about it in general, we can look back and we can ask ourselves, why did I do it in that moment? What can I do differently next time? And slowly growing and talking about it and sharing it with people and kind of getting there at our own pace and recognizing that many others struggle with issues.
Absolutely. You know what? I have to tell you that I'm most grateful for your wise words today. And you know what? I think with that, we'll close our half hour, our Empower half hour, because I don't think we could add to this more. I think that and if somebody, this is recorded, And if it's helpful and you missed it, you know what, go back and listen again. You know, the words of wisdom that were provided here, it's just a seed of information. It's not, this is the right way, this is the wrong way, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it whatever, and not, you know, I shouldn't feel bad, and the beating ourselves up piece. I mean, I don't know. I have the Italian beat yourself up piece in me, you know.
Or that human quality, yes.
Oh, my gosh. It's the guilt quality. It's the guilt quality. We get to it very young. No, but I think that this is a very worthy program. You know, anybody listening can share it to somebody else that they think needs it. And again, we're always looking for people to add to what we know or what we're trying to learn, because we certainly don't know everything. We're kind of winging it here a little bit, as we all are.
So Doreen, thank you so very much for having me on the show. It's always stimulating and interesting to talk with you about these topics. And
absolutely,
you know, listeners, please feel free to find me on the Time to Play website and shoot me questions or thoughts or comments, you know, about today's podcast. You can also find me at my website on reinventionlifecoaching.com. And Doreen and I would really both love your feedback, questions, thoughts, and ongoing communication.
Absolutely. And the first Wednesday of every month is Be Happy, Enjoy Life Week. You know, the Time to Play philosophy is happy, healthy, have money, work-life balance, and the topics do shift each week. So you could go to timetoplay.com and click on Radio Podcast, and you'll be able to get, like, the schedule. My goal is to have one topic every single day of the week. You know, and we're working on it. So Monday, right now, we have veterans peer-to-peer, which will be starting soon. Tuesdays is business success, which is really good. We just did that one yesterday. This was, of course, the Time to Play philosophy, happy, healthy, have money, work-life balance. Week 1 is happy week. And Thursdays is the Say What You Want to Say podcast that's, you know, potentially geared more to youth at 8:30 p.m. on Thursday nights, but it's anybody. Again. So, again, the podcasts are made possible by the Time to Play Foundation, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization with the mission and purpose to enrich the lives of others through programs, public awareness, outreach activities, events, and learning opportunities that further the concept of enjoying life. We do have the great resources on the website, and also I love my little Facebook public group that Mike is, you know, started, and it's just a tremendous resource. People have had great feedback on that. If anybody has questions, again, 631-331-2675, or email info@timetoplay.com. We'll be more than happy to, you know, see what we could do to make your life a better life. And I guess that's about it. I could keep rambling. So, all right, have a wonderful week, everybody. And thank you again, Coach Heidi. You are amazing, amazing.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a great week.